Self-perception is the same thing as self-concept. Basically, these are all of the things we tell ourselves all of the time, usually without conscious awareness of it. It's the voice that is like a chatterbox and it's just talking to you, telling you you're this, you're that. It's like the truths we believe about ourselves. And adjusting these things, tweaking these things, changing these things is the very thing to getting your manifestation techniques to work. Because the problem is, if your self-concept, your perception of yourself, is not in harmony with the things that you are trying to manifest, then the things you are trying to manifest will never actually come into being. Because in order to receive a manifestation, we have to lay down the proper groundwork, the right foundation to be in alignment with it. And our perception of ourself, which is made up of all of the beliefs, it's all of the ideas, again, the things we are telling ourselves all day long. These things are so important to change and to tweak. And honestly, self-concept, self-perception, the way you see yourself is the answer to your prayers. It is the missing link in your manifesting. If you have been struggling with this and you're wondering why the techniques you're doing aren't working, why your visualizations feel real, but then nothing ever comes of it, it's probably because you have a faulty self-concept, one that doesn't line up with it. But the amazing thing is that you can tweak this, you can change this, you can begin to believe differently about yourself, and thus begin to receive. And it really can be that simple, because we want to feel better. Like, we want to manifest these things because of the way it'll make us feel. So really, we're just after the feeling. And the amazing thing is that we can generate those feelings now. Like, you do not have to be with the particular experience or the person to feel this way. We have every power within us right now to feel any way we want, regardless of what is happening outside of us. And honestly, changing your feelings is one of the best ways to start building that new self-concept. And I would suggest, to really be mindful of that inner self-talk. What are you telling yourself? What do you think of yourself? Do you ever stop to examine this? Do you ever really pay attention to what you're saying to yourself? Start really observing, and you can take it from there, because if you can observe, you can find things that you're like, wow, this thing that I just told myself is not in alignment with anything I am trying to manifest. Maybe I should stop telling myself this. And honestly, it can be a starting point from there. And if you're just feeling better, generally, then honestly, your self-concept, the way you view yourself, is going to improve from there, because feelings multiply.
Self-perception, what is it and what does it do? Well, self-perception is usually, or it comes usually in I am statements. I am worth it, I'm good enough, I'm deserving, I'm loved, I'm accepted, I'm understood, I am respected, name it, right? Those are all self-perspective beliefs. And we manifest according to what beliefs are in place. Our subconscious programming determines what pushes out and how it manifests and what we manifest, because most of our manifesting is actually automatically done with the beliefs that we have in place. The conscious, the deliberate manifesting, it's just this much out of all of this manifesting, right? So why you should change your core beliefs and your major beliefs is so you don't have to constantly micromanage your thinking and your thoughts and override fears constantly, nonstop. If you're constantly frustrated with all the negative thoughts that you have and your mind feels like a mess or out of control, that's when you really should change your core beliefs. And guess what? Everyone has to do this. Everyone has to go through it. Everyone has crappy beliefs. And at some point in time, they have to work through it. And when you don't do it deliberately with these I am affirmations that I teach, then it just takes a lot longer. I've had friends that did it for 8-9 years and then they finally made it through it. And then compared to that, when you do it on purpose or deliberately, it takes about 7-8 months to work through it. So it's a lot faster. What does it do? Well, the subconscious programming, all of your beliefs and stories that you have in place, they make you feel either good or bad or in between, all of it. And they're responsible for all the things that push out and manifest. So why don't we want them more positive, right? We want them more positive. We deserve them to be more positive. We deserve these good manifestations, right? We want them to be good. We don't want people to keep pushing back at us that we're not deserving or worth it or good enough, because that feels not so good. And we all know this. So what does self-perception do? Well, it makes you feel a certain way, and it creates constant manifestations and push outs. So that's a really big reason why we want to change them. Also, it makes you manifest much faster. And we want them to be more positive. We want them to be, I'm worth it, I'm good enough, I'm deserving, and I'm loved, etc., because first of all, we deserve it to feel good and better and not constantly be upset and personally offended by everything everyone does or says or what happens around us. We deserve to not have a messy mind. We deserve to trust ourselves, and we deserve to actually be happy and feel good, right? We deserve to feel good. We want to feel good. We all crave that. We all want that love, that unconditional love. And self-perception teaches you how to unconditionally love yourself. And when you do that to yourself, that's what you reflect out, because the law of attraction is all about like attracts like. Therefore, what you are and what you believe is what you attract, and what you pull in and what you reflect out and what people reflect back at you. And when you're often disappointed and upset and frustrated and you just feel worse more so than good, then you definitely have not so good core beliefs and other beliefs in place. And there is a solution, because we can change them, and it is fairly easy. It's certain steps you follow, and you can do it. You just have to stick to it and do it, and be determined to prove to yourself to do this over and over and over again.
Now, the interesting thing is, you can say I am statements. I am statements are amazing. The problem is sometimes I am statements don't feel real. So I would actually experiment with whatever wording feels natural to you, feels right to you, makes you feel better. Some things that I've experimented with in my own journey is what if statements. Like, instead of saying I am beautiful, I would say, what if I could be seen as beautiful? What if others viewed me as attractive? What if I could have the boyfriend of my dreams, the man of my dreams? You could say what if, because if you say I am this, and I'm not suggesting to avoid affirmations like this, because honestly, I say a combination of all of them. But I don't want you to limit yourself to just thinking that you have to say I am statements, because they don't feel natural for everyone. Something I also like to do is I like to say you are, or you have this, almost like I am comforting that part of myself that is scared, that is insecure, that is worried that the manifestation won't come, that is doubtful of myself. So I will say you are this, you are achieving this, you can do this, almost like an inner support system or a cheerleader inside of your mind. I like to think of it as like a pom-pom girl, somebody that's jumping, that's full of energy, that's like the part of me that is all-knowing, all positive, and just knows it can be done against all odds. And you can say you are statements. You could say, wouldn't it be lovely if I felt this way about myself, if I saw myself in a higher and better way, if my self-concept could improve, if my perception of myself was getting better and stronger with every given day. You could say, wouldn't it be lovely? You could even say maybes. I really like maybes too. So kind of just experiment with whatever wording feels natural to you, feels right to you, because we're saying these things to ourselves to generate feelings, to feel better about ourselves, to build confidence, to have a higher self-worth, to have a higher self-concept, self-perception, view of ourselves. So I want you to just play around with whatever wording feels natural to you. Talk it out. Have a conversation that's mindful, that's secure in your own head, and really look to how can I approach these ideas of positivity, of feeling better about myself with making it feel real and making it stick. So I want you to start experimenting with more positive self-talk, one that's kinder to yourself. And the cool thing is that not only will your self-concept improve naturally and organically, but you will also feel so much more calm and at ease and just love towards yourself.
Babs, why should I put all this effort in for 7 or 8 months to change my self-perception if I can manifest right now? Well, you don't have to. You can. You will feel better. You will manifest faster and easier. You will have to put a lot less effort into manifesting and life. No joke. You can actually feel good and manifest. You can have both. And all these coping mechanisms that your mind currently has in place, such as anxiety and depression, they will actually pretty much go away completely or be reduced to a certain level where you're like, I can live with this. This is okay with me. You will get to a point where you can cope with anything. You can handle anything, and you know how you are in tune with yourself, and you will manifest things a lot faster, because when you believe that you're worth it and deserving and good enough, then things come a lot easier to you because they're automatically more drawn to you because you are deserving and worth it and good enough to get these things. So the more love you put out into the universe, the more you get it back, right? That's everyone as you pushed out. What you put out is what you get back. That's the law of attraction. All of what you're doing and manifesting is pretty much a payment with love. You pay something in love, you put the love out there, and you get it back in the form of what you desire: a vehicle, money, a partner, anything, right? You put out the love, and the more love you put out because you have it inside of you to give, the better and the easier it gets, and the better you feel, and the easier you manifest things. And it's actually fun to manifest it. And you learn how to trust yourself, and you learn how to forgive faster, and you learn how to be more patient, and you learn how to love yourself unconditionally. And who doesn't want that? Because if you are craving this unconditional love from everyone else and you're not getting it, it's because you're not giving this unconditional love to yourself. So by changing these core beliefs, you're teaching yourself how to unconditionally love yourself with all the good, bad, and the ugly inside of yourself and about yourself. And you're going to accept yourself. I am accepted, right? But you have to first accept yourself. You have to change your own perspective, because if you now ask other people, if you currently feel not good enough or not worth it, and you ask someone, do you think I'm good enough? They're probably going to say, yeah, of course I think you're good enough. But then they may say things or do things a lot of the time that make you feel the opposite of not feeling good enough or worth it. And it's not like they're doing this on purpose because they hate you, although it feels like it and we're taking it personally. It is because you take it this way because of your subconscious programming, so your perspective is off. Your perspective is shifted so much that it feels skewed and like you're in a mirror that's kind of bent and everything is kind of drawn out and weird or off. Yeah, that's just you. That's your programming, and you're the only one who can change it. Have you ever heard the saying, you are the change? Well, you are.
Okay, so one of my most important points is this. You want to change your self-concept, your perception of yourself, primarily for you. The added benefit is that you end up by default manifesting everything you could possibly have wanted and more, even things you haven't even dreamed up yet. But you don't do it for that reason. You do it because you want to feel good in your own skin. You are with you 24/7 every single day. No one else can be in your mind but you. It's just you, you, you. That's it. So honestly, you want to develop this safe space where life feels good, where life feels hopeful, where you feel good about yourself and who you are and where you are going. And you do this primarily for you. So in improving your self-perception and improving your self-concept, I want you to do it with the feeling in mind that I am doing it for me. I am doing it so that I can enjoy life to the fullest. I am doing it because it feels so much better to be in this space. And I have found that people more readily change their belief system about themselves when they are doing it from a place of actually wanting to do it. When they're doing it from a place of, well, this is a technique that will get me my specific person, then it ultimately fails because it's not done in a genuine place and you're not actually wanting to do these things. You're not actually wanting to feel this way about yourself. Instead, you're doing it with an ulterior motive in mind. So I want you to be very, very mindful of honestly putting yourself first. And really, if you can do this from a sincere point of view, this is self-love. This is an act of love. This is unconditional love towards yourself. And this is the very thing that is actually going to make your perception of yourself improve drastically in a short amount of time, Your manifestations will start happening left and right. The interesting thing is that once you raise your self-concept, the way you see yourself, suddenly your standards become higher. So maybe you wanted this ex back for reasons that you thought were valid at the time, but then you get them and you realize they're not good enough for me. Honestly, I've been there, done that. If you're familiar at all with any of my specific person stories, there was someone from my past a long time ago who I successfully manifested at the time through raising my self-concept. And when he came back, I realized I don't want this person at all. But it was so gratifying to know that I could get there, that I could do it, that I could reject him as opposed to feeling rejected myself. So honestly, the cool thing is that your standard of living will raise. Your belief system within yourself is going to cause you to want better experiences for you. So maybe you wanted to manifest $50,000 a year, and then you get there and you're like, hey, wait a second, I'm worth $500,000 a year. But the cool thing is that where you originally started, before you improved your self-concept, like you never could have seen yourself at the $500,000 point. You could only then see yourself at the $50,000. So it's neat how we keep growing and evolving and changing and improving. And honestly, self-concept is the key and the answer to everything. I said this before, I'll say this again. It is the missing link.